1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, two. Super. All right, we're back. We're back after that absolute monstrosity of a start. We're up and running again. All right, thank goodness. That's cool. Let's see if everything is running the way it should. Yeah, I think we're up. We've got the board, which is good news. We've got the analysis board here. And this seems to be updating, which is really great. Okay, so first I need to check if I'm actually am indeed live and not unlisted. Okay, I think I'm up and running again. Cool, let me know. Just drop a comment if you are seeing this live on YouTube, just for me to confirm that things are up and running. And let's get the poll up again. Who will win? Who will win? Okay, thanks, Mom. Magnus Carlson. And I guess I should put in the third option again. Draw. All right. Up and running. Things are looking good again. Got the players in the playing hall. I think we're all set. Sweet. Okay, let's take a look. So on the right-hand side, we've got the analysis board in purple, and the live board will be in blue. So, okay, we missed out the opening, so let's start things off. So we had one c4 and then c6. Very interesting. c6 opening up the bishop, the long diagonal bishop, and I guess we have a similar thing opening up this light square bishop. So there are probably a lot of options. I'm kind of curious what the engine would have said after this. Yeah, the engine really likes c6. Interesting. Okay. c6, we have d4, and now actually this is the first kind of, I guess, mistake where Fabi should have gone with... Oh, it's actually Carlson. Excuse me. I've got them mixed up from yesterday. You don't see the pieces moving. Oh, wow. That's a problem. Oh, yeah. That's true. Why has that happened? Okay, let's see if we can sort that out. Hold on. Thank you for noting that. It should be a quick fix. I'm hoping it's a quick fix. Okay. That's strange. Why is this not updating? I got the wrong board. Oh, yes, I'm actually using the wrong board. All right, let's get rid of this one. Okay, I think we got it now. Let's try and see if we can reset this. Hey, there we go. All right, cool. So, no problem. Thank you for interrupting. Otherwise, I wouldn't have noticed that mistake. All right, so we had one c4, c6, and then here Carlson goes for h5. And what the engine actually preferred is to play d5. So he doesn't play d5, he goes for h5, and now Caruana plays c5. And this just shows you already how tricky these positions are when you're playing this variant of chess, because of the fact that there's no opening theory to kind of get you started and build up some kind of momentum. It's already very easy to make mistakes. So I am kind of curious here. Let me just make sure this is muted so that we don't hear clicking of moves all of the time. What would have been the best move, according to the engine, is actually e4. It's just taking full control of the center. But I don't want to spend too much time on this because the players are playing moves right now, and I'd like to take a look at what's going on. Okay, so we have knight to b3, and That was the last move. So yeah, right now, Carlsen has a very small edge only if he plays e5. And if he plays e5 now and challenges the center, I think, yeah, we'll have a very equal game on our hands. But the issue earlier was that Caruana really needed to play this move, e4. Not now, but yeah. After Carlsen played h5, he needed to play e4, and he didn't. So, all right, Carlsen has just played knight to g4. And now, yeah, it's kind of interesting to see exactly what Fabi should come up with here. The engine's saying f3, just chasing away the knight, which makes sense. If you play f3, the knight's probably just going to... Well, actually, can apparently go back to h6. And yeah, I guess you can take, but you wouldn't really want to. You want to keep the two strong bishop pairs working together. And maybe the knight will reroute at some point to f5. So we'll see. We'll see exactly what happens. But yeah, f3 is not a very natural move. And I think this is something that I was talking about the previous game, is that when you start moving these pawns in front of the king, you have to be careful because they're very committal moves. So, yeah, so that's really interesting. Let's keep this moving. So what other options are there? Bishop to d2 is another option. Bishop to d2. Yeah, seems like a bit of a quieter move, just allowing the knight to stay there for the time being. I mean, f3 you can play at any point, really. You don't have to play f3 immediately. Yeah, okay, that's a fair point, yeah. f3 also stops queen to f3, which you might want to play at some point. It's the most natural square, I guess, to develop the queen. You could also play queen to g2, almost treat it like you're fianchettoing a bishop. Yeah, but that is a good point for f3, and maybe one of the reasons that would discourage playing f3 now is you're kind of locking the queen out of the game. The engine seems to think that it's playable, although now that it's been... No, yeah, it still thinks f3 is okay. Knight to g4 stops queen to f3. Why does knight to g4 stop queen to f3? Oh, f3 here. Oh, because of the fork, of course. Yeah, I almost missed that. Yeah, you wouldn't want to play that. But I mean, I don't think you have much incentive. This move doesn't really jump out at me. What's going on here? Hold on, sorry. Having a little bit of a... Wait. Why is this still doing that? Oh, I needed to right click. Hold on. Let me just refresh this. That'll save me a little bit of trouble. There we go. Yeah, so I was going to say queen to f3 doesn't really jump out to me as a move. Not just because of the fact that it loses immediately to knight to h2, but also because of the fact that you're kind of blocking this f pawn from maybe moving forward, either to f3 or to f4 in the future. It's tricky, actually. Now that I think about it, the queen, maybe you're right. Maybe putting the queen on f3 at some point would have been a good idea. So it makes knight to g4 even better, because the queen is going to have to develop. And it's an issue that both white and black have. Like, where do you put your queen? How do you develop your queen? You know, it's a little bit scary. It almost feels like the first person to get their queen out is probably going to have an advantage in some way. So Fabi's thinking, he's deep in the tank. Yeah, if you play queen to f3, I think you would have made a huge mistake. All right, let's take a look at some other moves. All right, knight to d3. Oh, knight to d3 was played. Okay, so now, after knight to d3, questions. I wonder, is it possible, at what point can you castle? Oh, you can castle now even. So maybe there's something to be said about castling now and then, oh, you still can't play queen to f3. But yeah, it's actually, it's actually quite tricky. Okay, so anyway, Carlsen plays knight to g4, and now Caruana has played knight to d3. Is that right? Yeah, it seems so. Knight to d3. Okay, e5 apparently is really good for Carlsen. e5. So you can see there's a lot of pieces holding the square, so e5 is definitely playable. And yeah, say for example you take, knight takes e5, and now the best follow-up is bishop to d2. Interesting. So let's see if Carlsen finds this. e5. e5 would be good. Okay, we don't have e5. We have bishop to f5. Wow, okay. So that has changed things. Now f3 is apparently a very good move. f3, knight to h6, and now bishop to e3. Bishop to e3, interesting. And what's the intention? I guess you could kind of maybe play bishop to f2, and then at some point... Oh, I guess it's trying to overprotect the d4 pawn. That seems like it makes sense. Yeah, and Fabi plays f3, so really interesting. Yeah, okay, f3, and now the knight probably is going to jump back to h6. Yeah, we see that. All right, knight to h6, cool. And now bishop to e3. So yeah, bishop to e3 makes a lot of sense because of course the queen is staring at this pawn, and not a bad square to overprotect. Maybe play bishop to f2, and you can even consider playing e4 because of takes. The only problem with e4 is it's going to allow this knight to jump in. So you have to be kind of careful with that. See if we've got any footage from the players. Nope. Okay, so the best move here would, if you're playing with... Is this the last move? Oh yeah, it is actually. So this just... No, it hasn't updated. That was my move. So the best move after bishop to e3 is actually castles. No, it's knight to c7 or queenside castles. Okay. Knight to c7 and now castles. And wait, hold on. What? Why is... Oh, queenside castles is better. Okay, that makes sense. How weird is this queenside castle? Such a strange looking move. You don't see these kind of things happening when you're playing standard chess. Really odd. Okay, now, question is, do we have a move or are we still waiting on Fabi? Okay, Fabi's still trying to decide what he's going to do after Carlsen's played knight to h6. Yeah, there's a couple of moves that kind of jump out. I wonder how bad something like knight to h5, knight to a5 is. Oh, now you just castle. Oh, that is so irritating. Yeah, I can put pressure on this pawn and on this pawn, but of course you can just respond by castling, putting the king over here. And defending the pawn on b7. Really interesting. And, I mean, yeah, other options. Queen to g2 also kind of makes sense. Maybe, at some point, there's an idea of capturing takes, and then pushing g4, takes, and maybe you can get a little bit of a pawn storm going. But this is kind of the big issue when you're playing this variant, is that the king can literally hop at any point all the way to the other side of the board. So you can get a kingside attack going, and then immediately like the king's over there, and you're like, what the heck am I doing? And you have to really be paying attention to make sure that you figure that one out. Yeah, so f3, after the knight retreats, we're still trying to figure out. I'm kind of curious what Fabi's considering here. It will be really interesting to see where he goes. Queen to g2. Some of the other engine suggestions: bishop to e2, which we looked, or e3 we looked at briefly, and then bishop to g5. Yeah, bishop to g5 is interesting. I guess the one thing you'd say about bishop to g5, it looks a little bit strange, but it does prevent castling, because if you castle, you're just gonna hang this pawn. So this is kind of like, and also it's almost provoking black to play f6. And while f6 is a little irritating if you're playing with the white pieces, it does sort of block out the king. For example, here you can see the analysis bar doesn't really like this. All right, so what move have we got on the board? We actually do have this move. That's really interesting. That's good timing. So we have bishop to g5. Bishop to g5 on the board. And now almost it might seem like white could consider trying to get this kind of coordinated thing happening of a5 and trying to put pressure on the b7 pawn. And of course now you can't castle because of the fact that this pawn's hanging. So yeah, it starts getting a little bit interesting. Definitely starts getting a little bit interesting. So black's best move, according to the engine, is to play knight to c7. And now bishop to d2 or queenside castles for white. Yeah, queenside castles, it looks very, very safe for white's king. Everything's kind of like tucked away. There's no immediate threats. And I guess there aren't really any immediate threats for black either. But the difference is that black can't castle yet because of the fact that you can capture. Although now the engine seems to think that there's something better. Even e4. Oh yeah, of course, e4. Takes. Bishop to g4. And now rook d to e1. And this pawn is being attacked twice, but it's being defended by a knight. So unless you want to sacrifice the exchange, which you, I don't know, nah. Yeah, there's no reason to think that this position isn't better for white. Yeah, okay, so let's take a look at some other options now. After knight to h6, yeah, bishop to g5, what do we think Carlsen is going to do? That's the question. Knight to c7, bishop takes d3 is also an option. Bishop takes, and now, wow, it's interesting. It doesn't like rook takes. It doesn't like anything except for rook takes. Okay, rook takes. And now knight to c7. Yeah, the knight needs to come out, so this is the only way for the knight to develop. So could possibly have this move, but I think at some point Carlsen is going to need to develop this knight, so it's the only square that it can get to. And often you would think like, okay, well, I want to develop the bishop first, right? Get the bishop out and then develop the knight. But obviously you can't do that because none of these squares are available for the bishop. And if you put the bishop on c7, then it's in the way of the knight. And the bishop can't go anywhere either. So it kind of has to be knight to c7 in terms of developing moves. Do we have a move on the board? Nope. Okay, we're still waiting for Magnus to make a move. All right, we've got the players in the top right-hand corner. We saw yesterday. Oh, this is interesting. Are they still? Did they change the venue? Maybe you guys can let me know if you've been watching on the other streams. I think the boat idea might have fallen through because it doesn't look like they're in a boat right now. I could be wrong. Okay. Yeah, so for the time being, Fabi with a nice advantage, but... Oh, you think they changed? Cool, thanks. The boat. Yeah, who knows what happened. I'm sure there's a story there. There's definitely a story behind the whole boat debacle. That was hilarious. Definitely a good idea, like, in planning, and then in reality, not so great. Okay, so we do have a move. Carlsen's played knight to c7. Awesome. Looks like he's got a little music there. Maybe he's, like, rapping in Norwegian. I think he must be. Okay, so we have knight to c7, and now... Yeah, now there's a couple of options for Fabi. Castle's queenside is definitely one of them. Castle's queenside. Or bishop to d2. Yeah, bringing the bishop back. I'm not entirely sure what's the point. I would almost like to leave the bishop here, but I'm curious now. What about knight to a5 now? Is this a terrible blunder? Engine doesn't like it. And you're putting pressure on this pawn. Knight to e6, though. Wow, knight to e6 is not an easy move to spot. And if I just capture, what's your threat? I guess infiltrating and picking up this. Let's just see out of curiosity. Rook to c8. Okay. And now... I mean, this is kind of surprising to me that this is that much better for black. But there must be something I'm missing. Okay, so... Knight to a5. And now knight takes d4. Yeah, so this pawn's still hanging. And it's a kind of important pawn. It's a very important pawn. So you can't really give this up. But now, what happens if, like, you can't defend this now? Is that the case? Bishop to c7. Okay. It looks like you're just up a pawn. And now knight to b4. Oh. So the knight can't escape anymore. And you can't, like, do this to try and wangle your way out. Rook to b8. I go here. And now rook take... What? Bishop takes a5. Takes. Rook takes b1. Oh, that is so gross. Oh my gosh. That is super wild. Oh, this is a cool line. Okay, we'll show this on the analysis board because this is pretty cool. Okay, so let's back up. Okay, so we had bishop to g5. And what I was thinking, let's go to the analysis board here. What I was thinking is playing knight... Wait, okay, so we've got knight to c7 on the board. I was thinking, cool, you can play knight to a5 now, right? And black can no longer castle, because before this was like the resource that black had to protect this pawn. But now you can capture, I think, and this is probably fine. No, it's not. It's not even. Okay, but let's just show one line at a time. So how insane is this? So after playing knight to a5, the best move here is just to respond with knight to e6. Allow this capture to take place. The rook just moves across. And now the problem is, I was thinking, what was the line here? You can't... Oh, wait. You want to protect this pawn, right? So you start off with e3. Bishop to c7, guarding this square. You've just captured a pawn, so now you're at risk of being trapped, right? There are no good squares. You can't go over here, you can't go over here, you can't go over here. So in order to untrap yourself, I guess this is an option, which is a little bit of an ugly option because you're going to be left with doubled pawns on the a file. Now we have rook to b8, threatening the knight. The knight moves, takes, rook sacrificing the exchange, takes, and now there's this horrible fork at the end of the line. It's madness. I wonder if how much of this they saw, because that is pretty wild. They played the opening much faster than yesterday. Yeah, it's possible. Okay, let's take a look at... Let's take a look at what we've got. Okay, we've got the players. Let's leave those up. So white is just castled, which is really interesting. White is just castled. So that was the last move. Now knight to e6 is still very much a move according to the engine. Kind of interesting. The fact that you're really not interested in doing anything with this pawn for the time being. But this is obviously a very real threat of capturing this bishop. So if you do like nothing, guess just captures. Okay, captures on d3. Okay. I mean, is this the threat? It's just capturing this bishop, I guess. Yeah, it must be. So bishop to d2, you can get out of the way of that. But there's still a lot of pressure on d4. But you don't want to take, presumably. All right, we have another move. Let's... Oh, we have that. Yeah, okay. So we have knight to e6 on the board. So two moves. You can play e3. Or you can play bishop to d2. But now bishop to d2 is a little interesting. What's happening here? Can you not take? So, because you're attacking this pawn twice. What happens if you capture? Takes... Knight takes d4. Oh, can you not capture here? Oh, hold on. There's some seriously nasty stuff here. Takes with check, of course. Yeah, but I just completely missed that. Yeah, so this pawn is about as poisoned as it gets. You don't want to touch that. Yeah, we'll leave that. I think taking this pawn would be what they would describe.
I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah, you don't want to make a huge mistake here and capture this pawn. Oh, what's going on? Chess.com is having a pretty massive glitch. Oh my gosh, it's happening on Hikaru's stream as well. That's hilarious. He's like, what the heck's going on? Oh, that's so funny. Okay. So anyway, this is the position as it stands. We've established you can't take this pawn if you're playing with black. So this bishop can really go anywhere. But bishop to d2, that's the engine's moves. You can also play e3, just kind of keeping this pawn chain a little bit more intact. You can take h takes, but of course, oh my gosh, you don't want to take because now the knight's trapped. Nope, 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 nope. So taking is not an option. You can even leave the bishop there. It just feels a bit uncomfortable because of the fact that it seems like the squares that the bishop has are very limited. Like there aren't not tons of squares available to the bishop once you play e3, which might discourage e3. But on the other hand, then you do really have a very strong pawn chain. Yeah, this knight is really terrible. Really, really terrible right now. So in order to make it less terrible, I guess you could exchange takes, and then bring it out. But then, I mean, you can take and double the pawns. You probably wouldn't want to do that though. Yeah. For the time being, it's probably fine, I think. All right, so we're waiting for Fabi to decide what he's going to do with his next move with the white pieces. Rook to d2 is also a move. A lot less intuitive, I'd say. Bishop takes d3. Yeah, I think bishop takes d3 is like going to be a very important move that black is going to have to play so that black can free this knight and make this knight slightly less terrible. All right, guys, I'm going to grab a quick glass of water. I'll be back in a hot minute. We'll just leave this up for the time being. See if we can... All right, the players are there, so you guys can keep an eye on that. All right, we're back. We're back. Let's see, what did I miss? Do we have a move? Yes, we do. Okay, we have bishop to d2. Awesome. Yeah, and just to recap, this pawn is not hanging because at the end of the line you can capture the knight on h6. But the best move here, apparently, for Carlsen is to just capture. And then bishop takes, and now finally we get knight to f5. That's the important move. Knight, yeah, knight to f5, and now e3. E3. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, obviously, here, so you can't get away with leaving this pawn undefended. So e3 makes sense. All right, what other options are there? I mean, is it just basically only bishop takes? Because you really do want to get the knight out. But b6 is another idea. b6. But now g4. Wow, g4 seems ambitious. Really? H takes, but now this seems like it's hanging. Oh, there's something else. You have to play e4 in between. Oh, okay. e4. Wow, this is super sharp. This looks like very dangerous. What's insane here is like it looks like the bishop is just outright trapped, but black still isn't even that bad, which is interesting. Rook takes d4. What? This is the move? Are you serious? E takes. I mean, I guess. Wow. Okay, things start getting a little crazy here. I'm not even going to calculate that. That's over my head. It's moments like those where you realize how how complicated it can really be. Yeah, chess is complicated, man.
I understand nothing.
Okay, so I think, truth be told, I will be very surprised. Okay, Carlsen has he captured? No, he hasn't. Okay, so we're waiting. I'll be very surprised if Carlsen does anything other than capturing. Capturing is just like the easiest way for white to continue. I mean, for black to continue. Takes, and then there doesn't seem to be too much that you can risk. But this kind of move, b6, and then allowing g4 to happen, I'm kind of a little bit more curious than I was actually moments ago. Let's take a look again. All right, we have a move. I'm not going to calculate this unless I absolutely have to. Hold on. Is this not updating? Oh, okay. Yeah, we have all of this on the board. That's good. Okay, so now really there's only one move, and that's e3. Everything else is... except for takes. Maybe you can capture if you want and then play e3. But yeah, e3 looks like the most sensible continuation. There's so much pressure on the d4 pawn. It's being attacked 1, 2, 3 times. It's only being defended once. So by defending it with a pawn, things stay pretty stable. And then the question is like, do you want to play g4 at some point? Start like busting things open? I would feel like that would be what I would want to do. All right, we have e3 on the board, I think. Do we? Not quite yet. Oh, no, we do. We do have it on the board. Super. Why e3? Yeah, e3 just to kind of keep this pawn chain intact. All right, now knight takes g3 as a move. Oh, I forgot the fact this is actually hanging. So that is the best move. Knight takes g3 is interesting. But it doesn't... Yeah, it's not like... I think maybe this is the other thing. That possibly Fabi was thinking before he played e3. It's just a capture, takes, and then this pawn is no longer hanging. But he obviously thinks that this is not really the end of the world, losing this pawn. Queen to h3. And now the knight just goes back to f5. Okay, so you're down a pawn, but you have a little bit of compensation along the g file. And also you have like quite a big center. So this g pawn is not necessarily that important. Engine doesn't seem to think so either. So, and holding on to the bishop pair, it seems to value that maybe, and Fabi seems to value that too. Okay, so now, now we have some interesting things happening, guys. This is starting to heat up. We have a bit of a mistake from Carlsen. And Carlsen's played b6 now. b6 we were talking about a little bit earlier. And here you can actually play f4. F4 is a difficult move to find. I don't know if I'd follow this up with f4. f4, knight to h6 to kind of reroute into this gap. Queen to g2. I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think Fabi's going to find f4. Because this apparently is a significant advantage. g4 is also good, and c takes b6 is also good. So we're more than likely going to see something like this. f4 is very difficult to find. Yeah, I don't really understand the point of f4, except for the fact that it's controlling a lot of the dark squares. And it allows these kind of holes for the knights to potentially put an outpost on. But maybe it just thinks having such strong command and control over all of the dark squares is going to be really beneficial. That would be my first guess if I had to just look at what's going on here. But yeah, apparently this is like a massive blunder. Well, a blunder, like a pawn's worth of a blunder, I guess. b6, interesting. Let's take a look at some of the more human moves. I mean, if Fabi plays f4, then credit to him. It's not a move that I'd even consider, really. But I guess that's why he's a grandmaster and I'm just some guy on the internet. Okay. So b6, let's take a look at some of the other more natural lines. Well, what happens if you just takes a takes b, and now king to b1. King to b1, why king to b1? Because maybe the rook comes over and you start piling up pressure along the a file. At least the king's kind of in the offering a little bit of protection of a2. That makes sense. What other considerations are there after that? Knight takes g3 is still on, by the way, because there's all this pressure on g3. This pawn has been hanging for a while, it would seem. And now would be a good time for black to capture it. And even so, black is still behind despite being up a pawn after you take. So knight takes g3, queen to h3 again, and knight to f5. Just move the knight back. And bishop takes f5, g takes f5, queen. Oh, now this pawn. That's the point. Okay. All right, I missed that. So after the knight comes back, you can actually just recapture the pawn. that makes a lot more sense. I was wondering why you just give that up. I was thinking there's some kind of compensation, but actually it's just material. You just go back and you pick up the pawn on f5 and even Stevens. Yeah. All right, Fabi's thinking though. And this, I guess if you're going to take time, this is the point that you want to spend a lot of time thinking. Because this is clearly an important moment. The engine really seems to think that f4 is the move to play. f4, it does allow the knight to reroute, but you get a complete lock on all of the dark squares. But let's take a look. I just want to follow a couple of moves here. Knight to g4, so I can understand this a little bit better. Knight to g4, queen to f3. Okay. Yeah, the queen's... I guess this is a big part of it, is the queen has just more options in terms of being on the light squares. And I'll take a look at black's queen. Black's queen is really super garbage. Just very limited. You can be like, oh, I can go to h6. Okay, well, what are you going to do on h6? Not a whole lot. All of these dark squares, which would be natural options for the black queen to go to. And maybe just by simply playing f4, you're really locking up the position a lot. Okay, we have a move, so let's back up. Oh my gosh, Fabi is a genius. An actual genius, this guy. You got to give credit where credit's due. That's what I'm saying. I mean, that is an exceptional move. I can tell you 100 times out of 100, I would never ever play f4 in this position. Not even once. I'd be calculating everything else. I'd be calculating g4. I'd be thinking, maybe there's some kind of way that I can... Okay, g4 is actually not that good. But I would not be thinking of f4. Definitely not. But he finds it. And who knows? It could be that Fabi is starting to build up a little bit of momentum here with the white pieces. Very interesting indeed. Okay, so now on closer evaluation, the engine's thinking of not about rerouting the knight, but actually playing queen to f6. Queen to f6, it's almost like it's starting to realize that, like, if you play a move like knight to h6, you at some point are going to have to try and get this queen into the game. Because where it is right now, it's just not doing anything. Okay, so membrane potential says sack on d4. Sack on d4 is very interesting. Now. Yeah, okay. All right, let's take a look. All right, so it's black to move. Okay, so sack on d4. Let's take, yeah. Engine's not loving it, but let's see why. It's very easy to be like, oh, well, maybe with this knight first? Okay, engine prefers this knight. Let's try. Takes, queen takes, which I imagine is your point. Queen to f3. Protecting the bishop. I guess allowing queen takes with check, and then king to b1. And okay, material's equal, but white still has a big advantage. It feels like if black can get a couple of moves in a row, that would change things pretty radically. You've got all of these pawns, and if you start getting these pawns marching down the board, suddenly that sacrifice could be legit. But apparently f5 here. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, so no, now it's black that needs to play f5. Rook to c1. Yeah, I think white is just able to defend pretty well here. Maybe if these pawns were a little bit more advanced, there might be something to that sacrifice. But yeah, especially with being able to put the rook on the c file and defend, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot to worry about here from white's perspective. Anyway, we have a move. Okay, so we have this move knight to h6 to reroute the knight to g4. Got another move. Okay, king to b1. And now we're expecting knight to g4 probably. I mean, the whole point of putting the knights on h6 is so that I can come to g4. But yeah, you would expect that that's going to be the case. Either this or queen to f6. Those are the two moves that are very, very natural. I think this is like the interesting thing about chess is that there's certain positions where like you could be like 300 elo and you'd be like, oh yeah, like that looks like a good move. And then a grandmaster would play that move too. And then you feel like, man, I actually got this. But then there are other moments where like something that seems very unintuitive, you have to try and make these extremely unintuitive moves, and grandmasters manage to find them. Speaking of, let's take a look at Magnus. There he is in his elements. He's in the zone. earlier, I think Membrane Potential in the chat said that he was in the confessional booth, which would have made a lot more sense because I saw his lips moving, but I couldn't hear him. So, yeah, that must have been kind of interesting. Kanish in the chat, hello, welcome. Okay, so we have king to b1 on the board. I think actually it's not a bad idea just to show that knight sacrifice, because that was kind of interesting. Yeah, we had Membrane Potential in the chat suggesting that we could play a little bit of a knight sacrifice. So let's take a look at how that turned out. What was the move? Oh, f5 and now knight sacrifice. Takes, e takes, knight takes, queen takes. And you have to defend this bishop. So you want to play something like queen to f3, defending the bishop, getting the queen into the game. After takes with check, king to b1. And the thing that we were saying is that these pawns over here would actually be really, really powerful if they were a little bit more advanced. Then sacrificing would actually make a lot of sense. Or definitely be a more viable option. But right now, this just kind of fizzles, especially after, like, say you play f5 and then rook to c1 was the engine's line. Kind of doesn't go anywhere for black. You don't really have much of an attack going, and white has a lot of pieces and resources around to defend the king. So usually if you're sacrificing, you need to have either a big attack or a way of recouping the material pretty soon after you've made the sacrifice. So yeah, that's something that I always bear in mind if I'm thinking. Actually, that's not true. Most of the time, if I'm playing a blitz game, I'm just like, does the sacrifice feel like I'm gonna get an exciting game? Even if it's a little dubious, then usually I just play it. Okay, so let's head back to the game. b6. All right, now we're waiting on Carlsen. 30 minutes on the clock, so things are getting a little bit tighter. They're on move 15. If I'm not mistaken, they have, I guess, 32 minutes to get to move 40. I think that's right. We'll see. Yeah, I think it's 60 minutes and then an additional 30 minutes once they get to move 40. So yeah, we're looking at quite a long time still. About an hour until the players both reach that point. Okay, so a couple of options. Actually, kingside castling is now a thing, which is hilarious. A little bit of a hop. That's another option for black, apart from knight to g4. And then the third one is queen to f6, which we discussed already. So those are options. And my question is like, say after Carlsen makes a decision, let's just head back to the main board. After Carlsen makes a decision here, what is Caruana's plan actually? Like, what does he actually want to achieve here? He's got control of the dark squares. That's really good. He's got an advantage. That's clear too. But of course, when you're playing against Carlsen, you have to just really know what you're about and have a very clear plan. So let's say queen to f6, rook d to f1. And yeah, now I guess what? Maybe pushing this pawn forward. No, you can't do that. Not yet. Yeah, it's a little bit trickier. This is definitely a position that you can spend a lot of time thinking. All right, do we have castles on the board? Yes. No, we don't. Do we? No, not yet. Let's take a look. All right, so we're still waiting for Carlsen's move. With the black pieces. Should be coming in shortly. All right, now we don't have a huge amount of folks who have voted, but most people think that Carlson's gonna win. Actually, not most, everyone. All right, is rerouting the knight through a1, c2, b4 to attack the c6 pawn too slow? There's a question. Let's see that again. a1, c2, b4. a1, c2, b4. Oh, I see. Yeah, I think it's just like, yeah, it's a little too slow probably. I mean, it's not a terrible idea. This knight, it's not a great piece right now because it also is very limited in terms of where it can go. It can basically only go back, like, unless this gets captured. But even then, like, yeah. All right, we have a move. We have a move. All right, Carlson has played knight to g4. Fabi is definitely in the driver's seat here. There's no doubt about that. In order for him to keep this advantage, there are a number of moves that are okay. There's one move that is slightly better. So a lot of queen moves are good here. Queen to g2, queen to f3. And we have another move. We have queen to f3. What happens after b takes c? So if b takes c, now d takes, and queen to f6. The problem, I think here's the issue, is that, and this actually illustrates how strong f4 is that if you capture, you really don't want to capture the c pawn if you're black, because of the fact that you can capture the d pawn and then unleash this bishop along the a1 h8 diagonal, and that would be pretty brutal. And you can't even really do anything to defend it because of the fact that f4 was played. So it just shows you that it's almost like Fabi played f4 realizing that b6 was going to get played and discouraging Carlson from ever capturing the c5 pawn because of the fact that he's going to open things up. So for example, let me just back up. Okay, we have a move. Yeah, and then, yeah, bishop to c3 at some point. All right, we do have a move. Let's take a look. Okay. So queen to f6 and now queen to f3. It's a bit of a face-off. Carlson is desperately trying to make this queen a little bit better. It's been stuck in the corner the whole game, and now he's trying to get it out and work some magic. Bishop to c2 is a move. There's a lot of kind of slower moves, to be honest. Bishop to c2. Can also take this pawn if you like now. Takes. And with the king on b1 and the bishop also on b8, like, you have to do a little bit of work. Black still has to castle if he wants to try and put pressure on the a2 pawn, and the king's already there guarding it. So you can actually give up the a file for the time being. It's not really that big of a deal from White's perspective. And now we're waiting on Fabi to make a move. Let's see. Good. I mean, there's no reason for him not to capture here. It's completely reasonable. Guys, I'm going to boil the kettle, make myself a cup of tea, and we'll be back in a little bit. And we'll continue keeping an eye on things. All right, the kettle's boiling. We're back. What did I miss? That's the question. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, things are happening. Wow. So we actually had this. But now, that's so interesting. Okay, so but now it's better to take with a knight? What's so terrible about... Ooh, oh, I'm starting to see. Hold on. D takes C? Knight to E5. Oh my gosh, knight to E5 is so gross. Knight to E5 is so gross. That's horrible. And you're going to lose... You really want to keep the bishop pair. I mean, the bishop pair is super powerful. Oh, man. Okay. Okay, this changes things. That's wild. That is really interesting. So before we were discussing how, like, okay, d takes, and then you can put the bishop on c3. Knight to e5 is so tricky. Now, of course, it's too late. And you would love to be able to keep the dark square, the light square bishop and the dark square bishop, and it's starting to seem like that may not be possible. So knight takes c5 instead. Now knight takes c5. Ah, and here you have rook takes, and this keeps an advantage because now this little maneuver is no longer possible. But the downside is you don't get bishop to c3, taking control of the... All right, okay, so we've got some moves. Hold on, let's back up. Takes, takes, takes. Okay, we have exactly that. Rook takes. Oh, wow. Wow. That is insane. Oh my gosh. E5. If you take, you can't capture back. You can't capture back because your queen's hanging. What? D takes. D takes is the best move. But now you can even... Wow, you can play bishop takes. But that's interesting. I would probably prefer to take with a knight. And then, like, you get the light square bishop, but then maybe it's a bit more drawish. Wow, that's wild. That is wild. All right, some crazy stuff happening, guys. Some crazy stuff happening. Do we have bishop takes on the board? No, we're waiting. We're waiting. Oh, no, wait, hold on. What are we waiting for exactly? Oh, we're waiting for Fabi to decide what he's going to do. Which, well, I mean, like, isn't there really only one move? Oh, you can play queen to d1. Whoa, this is very difficult. Like, these are unintuitive moves because obviously if you're not going to take, you have to move the queen, right? Because you're threatening to fork here. You can't do nothing. But if you do play this way, e takes f. Oh my gosh. G takes. Yeah, it feels like white's had like a clear-cut advantage before, and now it's not so clear. Okay, guys, I'm just gonna pour my tea. That was the sound of the kettle boiling. I'll be back in a sec. 1 hot minute. All right. Got the tea going. Got the stream going. Even after catastrophic starts, we're in business. Things are moving in the right direction. Okay. I just saw now Fabi did make a move, so he actually did choose to capture, which is the best thing to do. All right, now we're probably expecting Carlsen to make one of two moves. Bishop takes is plus 0.75. Knight takes is plus 1. So the question is, which one of these moves is he going to go for? Bishop takes makes sense because you're threatening to capture on b2 as well. So that might be the first thing that kind of you'd expect. This tea is very hot. Could turn this into like an ASMR stream. What do you guys think? Just me like sipping and whispering into the microphone. Do you think that's a good idea? No. Actually, it could really draw a new audience, you know? It could bring chess fans and people with ASMR subscriptions together. Could work. But it's not going to happen. Not in the stream, at least. Okay. D takes E. And now we're waiting for Carlson to decide. Is he going to take with a knight? Is he going to take with a bishop? This pawn is outright hanging. Just to illustrate for those of you who haven't noticed yet, if you do capture back, you lose your queen, which would be quite heartbreaking.
It's a trap!
That is very much a trap. That's about as much of a trap as you're going to see. Bishop takes e5. And what's the response to this if you're playing with white? Rook to c2. Okay, that makes sense. Rook to c2, guarding the b2 pawn. You don't want to just open things up. It's completely unnecessary when you can just defend. Okay, so we do have that on the board. Carlson captures with the bishop, and now we're waiting on Fabi to decide how he's going to defend. So rook to c2, rook g to c1 is also a move, apparently. What? Just allowing this capture to take place? Oh, but then you can capture over here, attacking the queen. The queen retreats. Let's do this. Knight to e5? What? Oh my gosh, look how complicated this gets. Look how complicated this gets. Queen's hanging, queen's hanging. Bishop's hanging, rook's hanging, rook's hanging. Oh my word. Why should we not block with bishop to c3? Oh yeah, you could, I guess. Let's see. Bishop to c3, but... Okay, apparently after castles... What? Is it this way? No, it can't be that way. That's madness. Castles... Oh, maybe the idea here... Oh, this is strange. This is very strange. Yeah, okay, castles. Connecting the two rooks. Alright, rook takes, bishop takes, knight takes. Yeah, I feel like your advantage kind of fizzles a little bit. Because if you think of what black has here, material's equal, and black's going to have the b file. So you don't really want to get exchanging too quickly. So yeah, it makes sense for white. White's not really preferring exchanging bishops at any point. But this is an insane move. I mean, this is a crazy move. Rook to c1. Hold on, let's just show this. So takes, bishop takes, rook to c1, allowing bishop takes on b2. Allowing bishop takes because you have this move to follow up. And now a completely insane follow-up for black is allowing your queen to get captured because of the fact that you're capturing this queen. Your bishop's hanging. I mean, I just want to play this out just to see what the heck is going on here because this is so bananas. Rook takes f6. Knight takes. King takes b2. Knight takes. Rook to c7. Okay, so this is really just a very roundabout way of trading. But now there's a lot of pressure over here. And I guess you have to just... Oh, you can castle. Oh my gosh. Oh. That is... Yeah, that's over my head. I can't... I wouldn't been able to even come close to understanding that. If this happens... If this actually happens, I will lose my mind. Do we have a move on the board? No, not yet. Not yet. If this actually happens, I will lose my mind. Just to show you guys what we're talking about, I'm going to change over to the analysis board. This is absolutely bonkers. All right, so we have takes. Carlson's captured with the bishop. Now, the first natural move that we're expecting is to play rook to c2, defending the b2 square, right? But the engine's like, no, you can take, no problem. So you play rook to c1. After takes, you're going to take this pawn. So now material's equal, but you're attacking the queen. And now what you're going to do, if you're playing with black, is you're just going to ignore that. You're going to say, I don't care about my queen. I'm going to attack your queen. And of course, you still can't take this knight because of the fact that your queen's hanging. And now, white takes, black takes, white takes, black takes, white plays rook to c7, and you castle. You castle. That is just like on another planet. Oh my gosh. This is why engines will always beat people. because of these kind of lines that are actually quite horrifying. I mean, honestly, this is ridiculous. It's actually quite beautiful, though. I mean, say what you will. Yeah, and the line is kind of more or less equal. Black has I mean, white has a slight edge, but yeah, it's just disgusting stuff. More than likely, I think the safest route here is just to keep it simple. Rook to c2 is fine. Rook to c1, rook g to c1, you're just going to spend so much time calculating. What if you do bishop takes b6 in the rook to c1 line at the end? Let's take a look at that. Okay, bishop takes b6. Bishop takes b6. Hold on. Oh, do you mean bishop? Okay, so here's the rook to c1 line. Takes. Is it takes? Yeah, allowing takes. Here, there's nothing on b6. Hold on. At the end, though. Okay, let's just take a look and run it through. Yeah, there's nothing on b6 at the end. Here, castles. A bit further. What's on b6 though? This is as far as we went with that line. I don't know. Maybe I missed something. Oh, bishop takes g6, you mean? G6, yes. Oh, I just saw that now. Yeah, okay. This is interesting. Yeah, but I think you can't get anything more than threefold here. Yeah. Maybe, yeah. There's nothing here. You can't. But it's an interesting idea. If maybe you had a little bit more material, then this could work. But yeah, it's just a draw. I think white really needs to press for something more. Because, I mean, Fabi's basically playing for a win. Am I not mistaken? Because he lost yesterday, so he basically has to win to take it to Armageddon today. All right, let's head back to the players and to the main board. This is what's on the board right now. It is Caruana to play, and he's got some serious thinking to do. He needs to decide what exactly is he going to do in terms of defending the b2 pawn. Let's just get to where we are in the analysis. Yeah. And the least complicated way to defend is just play rook to c2. The pawn's being defended, and then you can always double up and threaten capturing on c6 later. Maybe. What about going rook to g7 instead of threefold? All right, let's quickly take a look at that since nothing's happening. Sorry, I should have kept an eye on the chat. Okay, takes, yada yada yada. Takes to c7, castles, captures, takes. Rook to g7. Takes. Rook to g7. Oh, okay, let's see how this you kind of get out of this. King to c. Huh. Can't I just hide away? Okay, apparently this is rook f to e8. Ah, okay, so here, this is the solution. Now yeah, this basically it's only threefold because you're not gonna squeeze. Yeah, that's the thing you can do. These are always the quiet moves that are tricky. Just creating some space for the king so that there's no shenanigans. And black happily takes a draw there. Wow, wild stuff. Super wild stuff. All right, do we have a move? We're still waiting. We're still waiting on Fabi to decide. Is he going to go for the complete... If he plays... Can I just say, if he plays rook to c1, things are going to get really unhinged very quickly. If he plays rook to c1, this is going to turn into, like, absolute chaos. Let's look at his face. Let's see if his face indicates anything like he's about to do something truly awe-inspiring. Rook to c1's not even the best move. It's not even the best move, but it would be the most epic move for him to play. Just so that we can see this line. I mean, it would just be so cool. Please do it. Please do it, Fabi. That would literally make my day. If he plays rook to c1, we're going to see one of these happening. Yeah, maybe not quite, but things would get pretty wild pretty quick. Oh my gosh, no ways! He actually played it! Did he? Oh my gosh, did he actually play it? What? No ways. He actually played rook to c1. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as I mentioned, the engine, this is the second best move, right? Okay, no, yeah, it's the second best move. Allowing the bishop to capture. Oh my gosh. This is crazy, crazy. Oh yeah, now I have to play that clip again. No, I already used it once. I'll find something else. Here we go. Let's use this one. That is completely bananas. Okay, that's a little bit much. I mean, what on earth? It's so like simple just to defend this way, and he's gone for this like super complex line. Okay. Okay. This is wild. This is really wild. I honestly can't believe he played that. Like, I really can't believe it. Just allowing captures. Maybe he has something else up his sleeve. Maybe he's not necessarily... No, he has to take here. He has to take. But I don't think he's seen this move. I might be wrong. I could be completely wrong. Let's take a look at Carlsen. Carlsen's deep in thought here. He's looking at all of this. I'm sure I'm mistaken. I'm sure Fabi's actually seen this move, because he would have looked at it a moment ago and realized that it's still possible to play this move now. Yeah, Carlsen's definitely going to be seriously thinking about what's going on here. I mean, that was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And I guess what Carlsen's thinking now is just like, should I even take this pawn? Like, do I have to take this pawn? It feels like he does. I mean, the engine says that anything other than capturing the B pawn, not good for black. Really, really not good. So, for example, the next best moves, and this actually isn't that bad of an idea you'd expect, because you're putting more pressure on, but now you can just play B3. And after this, yeah, that just doesn't seem like... I mean, I was thinking of like even playing bishop to A1, but now rook 1 to C2. Okay, now you can lift this rook just to prevent mate. And yeah, this bishop's going to be probably trapped, one would imagine. I guess you can just come back for the time being, because you're not going to be able to capture still. Anyway, this pawn is hanging right now. That's the big problem. And it's being attacked twice. It's being defended once. And it's not super clear. Yeah, this is... Fabi's just gone for the most complicated line. And yeah, it's going to be very, very wild. The next couple of moves are going to be pretty spectacular, I think. Yeah, that was really incredible. Rook to c1. How about that? Bishop takes b2. I mean, that's what Magnus is supposed to do. And then we're gonna presumably just take here, and then we'll see this whole line play out. Probably exactly as we saw it before. And it might be the case that we actually get this weird threefold repetition at the end. I mean, no, I don't think so, because Caruana is playing for a win, so he would never go for that. He's going to want to carry on playing. What about just taking? So here, can you just capture? Is it insane to capture this pawn? Probably not. Now at least you're up a pawn, playing with the white pieces. Maybe this is the line that he's looked at. It's got a pass pawn, has a slight edge with the white pieces, and this is maybe the route that he goes to take his chance. Could be. All right, should we do another poll? We're gonna end the poll. Everyone thinks Magnus is gonna win. Awesome. All right. 100% of people think it's a very small sample size. But yeah, I would probably say the same thing. Okay, so the clock is starting to run down now. Carlson's down to 22 minutes. And I think Carlson must have known when Fabi went into the time bank and was spending a lot of time deciding what his next move was going to be. I think Magnus must have known in the back of his mind that he was not just calculating rook to c2, but he was calculating rook to c1. So I think he would have spent some of that time really contemplating what's going on in this position. What is he supposed to do after he captures on b2? Yeah, we got... Okay, so... That's sweet. Anna, it's okay if you don't understand anything. It's fine. I'll try and throw in some non-chess related anecdotes later on to keep it entertaining for you. So, okay, so the question membrane potential threw in was... We only get draws after this line. So the line that we calculated... the line that we calculated, let's take a look. The line was bishop takes, rook takes, okay, knight to e5, rook takes, knight takes, king takes, knight takes. Now rook to c7, attacking this pawn and this pawn, castles to defend this pawn, instead of worrying about that, now just taking on a7, and then trying to grind out an endgame against Magnus with white pieces up a pawn. But yeah, not easy to know exactly how to do that here. I mean, the engine only gives a very, very small advantage to white, even though you're up a pawn. It is the a pawn, and the a pawn is... The wing pawns are worth less than the central pawns, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's not an enormous advantage, but it's definitely something to play for. I think Carlson has probably even seen to this point already and figures that he's trying to maybe decide, can he hold this? Is there any other option in terms of endgame? Or is this... Because all of these moves just seem like they're kind of forced almost. Yeah. So really, from Fabi's perspective, it's the way to win would be to try and see if you can make this pass pawn do something special. Just push and try and get it promoted. But it's going to be very difficult to do that. All right, let's take a look at the players. Carlson listening to some cool tunes, probably. I wonder what he listens to. What about instead of taking the a7 pawn, playing rook to c1 back and trying to trap the knight? Yeah, I don't think you can trap the knight. I was looking at this a little bit. So, okay, maybe... Yeah. The problem is that best case scenario, because of the fact that this pawn is here, that the knight is going to be able to retreat to either of these squares. It is possible that you lose a pawn. I mean, if the knight goes here and you capture... Takes, the rook will come back and capture the pawn. So, yeah, like, it's not likely that you're going to be able to trap the knights. If the knight, if you get the knight on f3, like, then the squares are really limited. Conquer there, and basically you're stuck. But so long as the knight is on d2, it should be fine. Both of these squares are... Well, this square's probably the way to go. And with the light square bishop, you kind of want to hold on to this, because this... If you look at the A-pawn is on a mission. You'd love to be able to get this on the diagonal to assist with promotion at some point. So, yeah. All right, so we're still waiting. Oh, do we have a move? Oh, I think we're back live. No, we're not. We're not. We're still waiting. Still waiting on Carlson to decide exactly what's going to happen next. So the bishop's on e5. Really, there's only one move. There's only one move according to the engine. Everything else is really bad. You have to capture this pawn. More than likely, I think Carlson is thinking about what happens next. It's like, okay, I'm going to capture on b2. Fine. I mean, maybe not. Maybe he's thinking about playing rook to b8. Because he probably would have taken by now. Hey. Interesting. Okay, we want to put the white king on d4. Ah. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, you have to get there first. But I still feel like one way or another, you're going to have to pick off this a7 pawn first before you do anything. Yeah. It would seem so. Alright, Carlson's still really spending quite a bit of time thinking here. Alright, he's taken. He's taken. Okay, let's back up. Sorry, let's head over here and I'll update the analysis board. Alright, so we have bishop takes. Yeah, and we've got exactly the line that we expected. Knight to f5. Everything is hanging right now. I mean, if you looked on this at this position and you didn't spend a whole lot of time like calculating, you'd just be like, what the heck is going on? This is such a crazy position. Super wild. Okay, so here, Caruana is spending a little bit of time. There's basically two moves. There's rook takes, and then there's bishop takes b4 check. What? Bishop takes b4 check. Bishop to b4 check, sorry. So you can throw in a check. Does this really change anything? Maybe it does. This we didn't calculate though, which is quite interesting. Okay, so king to g7. And now what? Now rook takes f6. Knight takes f3. Huh. Whoa. Okay, knight takes f3. Whoa. This is very, very weird. To e6, and now you capture. That is so strange. Oh my goodness. This is super, super tricky. Capturing just like sacrificing the rook? Okay. Hold on. Oh, I see. I see the problem here is that you need to... Okay, yeah. So you sacrifice so that you can take the bishop. Of course, if you move the rook, then you're going to lose the bishop. But is that the end of the world? Seems so. King takes b2. Yeah, this doesn't work. Man, this is messy. Okay. So it's better, apparently, not to throw in a check. So after takes, it's better for black not to throw in this check. This check is ill-advised. But look how insanely powerful this knight is. It's like attacking 3 hanging pieces at the same time. And it can't be taken. And at the same time, the queen's hanging. It just completely nuts. Really, really wild. So I guess Fabi's just deciding between 2 moves. The first one is just to capture the queen, and the second one is to put the bishop on b4 with a check. But then things get messy. So I think, I mean, they're pretty messy already, but after you capture, it becomes much easier to calculate. Honestly, I think this is heading towards a draw. Okay. The more I look at it, the more I think it's just going to be a draw. All right, so we have this on the board. Let me get the players up. I mean, I guess there are other oh, you can throw in a check now even. Ooh, that's interesting. But then you kind of get the same position. It's just different. And now you can take. You're kind of sacrificing the exchange here, I guess. Maybe this is the other thought that Karawan is having. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry, rook with check first, and then king to e6, and now taking, keeping the bishop pair. So you've sacrificed the exchange. You're still up a pawn, but you've got the bishop pair. And maybe this offers a little bit more tension in terms of the material balance. And even though the engine evaluates it as equal, it might be a little bit more, offer more options for Fabi to win if he sacrifices the exchange. You would just love to pick up this pawn. I mean, if it was white to move here, white would be winning. But it's black to move, so. Rook to b8. Obviously, you can't take because your bishop's hanging. King to a3. Now a5. Can't take. Well, you probably could, but it would. Rook to a8. It'll start getting messy. Yeah. So maybe this is the last moment that Fabi can decide. Like, okay, cool. Am I going to keep the bishop pair or am I going to sacrifice the rook? Those are his options. Oh, this is cool. I get these like emojis. Oh, that's nice. If I select them, they like come out on the stream. That's a winner. That's pretty cool. I didn't realize I could do that. Fun. Okay. What music is Magnus listening to? These are the important questions. Give the people what they want. What music? Oh, wait, hold on. I need to give you options. Wait. Oh, actually, no, I can just leave it. I want your guesses. Wrong answers only. Oh, whoops. I guess I could have given you options so that you can choose, but maybe it's better just to let you guys choose. All right, so both players are really even on time. It's down to 17 minutes each. And basically, Fabi is just trying to decide, is he going to play bishop to b4 check, or is he going to capture the bishop with his king? Bishop to b4 check is probably the riskier version because it ends up sacrificing the exchange at some point. But he could also just capture with a rook. I'm sorry, he could capture the bishop with the king. And if he does do that, then he's going to go into an endgame upper pawn against the best endgame player of all time. And it's not even a great pawn. It's like a wing pawn. So it is a pass pawn, though. It's a potential pass pawn because this is the pawn that's going to fall. Nice. I think I can play that. Let's see if I can play it on my guitar. Must be that. There you go. That's about as much music as you're going to get out of me in this stream. I think you're right. That's exactly what he's listening to. Cool. All right, so we're still waiting on Fabi to decide. Thank you. I appreciate your support, guys. You know what I was really hoping for? I was really hoping that at the start of the game we were going to be able to see Carlson there early, but then Fabi arriving late, so we could see another one of these. That might be like my favorite Magnus moment of all time. Shaking hands with nobody. Okay, still waiting. Still waiting on the world to change. I mean, I guess there is a lot to calculate. Okay, wait. All right, it's on the board. It's all happened. It's crazy because basically it's been move for move since we looked at this line. Maybe, I don't know how many moves ago it was. Let's see. It was here. Here we started. No, it was here. This is when we started looking at this line. That was move 20. And now it's basically been, all of these moves have just been engine moves. Honestly, if Kramnik was like watching this, he would be like having a complete meltdown. If this was played online and Kramnik was playing one of these guys, it would be like definitely someone's cheating. He would have to initiate the procedure. Whoa. Okay, now this is something that I did not calculate at all. This is something I did not look at. F5. Wow, he's gone for F5. F5 actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I think, who was it? Was it Membrane Potential or Kanishk? We were talking about sacrificing the bishop in order to kind of open up the king. This is a kind of similar, but just a safer alternative to try and bust things open. Oh, it was Kanishk. Okay, cool. Yeah, so here, now you have to start being pretty careful because once you open up the king with the two rooks roaming, anything can happen. And even though their engine's like, yeah, there's no real risk, it definitely is a bit of a cause for concern for Magnus. And this pawn's still hanging, so yeah, we'll see. Hmm. All right, what's the best move here? Knight to e4. Knight to e4. Ah, knight to e4. Yeah, knight to e4. And now? Bishop takes. Pawn takes. F takes g. King to g7. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. And now does it rook takes? Rook takes. G. Yeah, the problem is this pawn's not really going to get anywhere. Because you're going to be able to pick it off. Maybe... Wait, what am I talking about? That's bananas. Okay, to d2. King to b3. Hmm. Yeah, it looks very, very equal. Okay, so we get this knight move, which is kind of what we're expecting. Immediately captures. Captures. I think we're heading probably towards a draw. Which is a shame. All right, we have a check. King to b1's fine. King to c1's fine. King to b3's fine. Basically, just put your king anywhere that's not an illegal move and you're good. Just play king to b1 for argument's sake. Now rook to g2. G takes f check. King to g7. Now rook to f5, because of course the king's attacking the rook. And rook can take on g3. But now you can take on h5. Rook can capture over here also. But it can also capture over here. A lot of hanging pawns. Just feels like things are going to kind of fizzle out, really. Yeah, I think after the knight was traded for the bishop, or the bishop was traded for the knight, like, just having two rooks, it just feels like this isn't really going anywhere. But I could be wrong. Sorry guys, I'm trying to not sip too close to the microphone. I know that's probably not a super pleasant experience. F takes G. I don't think you can do that. Yeah, not good. Takes. Now you can capture on H5. So that's not really an option. D2. So are we still waiting for Fabi to move? Yeah. Just go down. Yeah, so there's two options. You can just basically target these two loose pawns from behind. And yeah, Carlsen is so machine-like when he plays these endgames. And this is what makes him very, very difficult to play against. He's just able to target all of the weaknesses in your position. They've still got 11 moves to play. Because, I mean, I think they need to get to 40 moves. Could be wrong about that, but I think so. Oh, a last move. Oh, thanks, membrane potential. I didn't see that comment. Last move indicator on the live board would be helpful for the next stream. Okay, I'll see if I can set that up. Yeah, where is there a... I'm wondering if there is a last move. There's a way to find that out. There should be. I don't see one on the interface, but maybe if I do a little bit of research, I can see if I can find it. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's an enormous difference between playing any of these moves. One wonders. Well, you wouldn't want to give up, I guess, the A2 pawn. But seeing as, I mean, this is probably why, which is quite interesting. Oh, okay, no. I was thinking king to c1's a move. King to c1's not a move. King to c3's a move. King to c3, rook to d3 check. King to c4 and just marching your king up the board. But now you can just take over here. Could also just take this pawn, but what's so wrong with this? Oh, it's really not good. G takes f7. Oh, I can play G takes f7. King to g7. I thought that was the whole idea. Rook to f4. Oh, I guess now that you've left the king into the game, maybe this is part of the problem. It's just that it's going to be a lot harder to pick off this pawn. Well, so you need to target that if you're playing with black first. Targeting the e3 pawn. So maybe this is part of what Fabi's calculating here, is actually playing rook to c3. Let's take a look. Deep in the tank. Yeah, I agree. I think you're, I mean, what you mentioned before about getting the king up the board, it makes a lot of sense now. I think he's just trying to decide if it works, because basically if you play king to c3, he's not going to take that pawn. He's going to throw in a check and then pick up the e3 pawn. But I'm kind of curious. Let's just see here. Yeah, there's not really much you can do. You go to c4, captures. Now if you go here, take on g3, capture. F takes. Wow. Yeah, everything just fizzles. And it's actually black who's the one who's up a pawn now in this endgame, which is not surprising. All right, we do have a move. So we have king to c1. I was actually looking at this and then I was thinking, oh, but you can just capture on a2. But this is almost like a little bit of a... You're like allowing that because maybe taking on a2 is not as serious as the threat of taking on e3. But now it really, really is super dry. Like, doesn't look like this is gonna yield much more than a draw. I think, like, if I was Fabi, honestly, I honestly would have played this differently, because now, obviously, a draw here is not going to do the job. Carlsen's already won. So if I was him, whoops, sorry, let's try that again. We back up. He had this option here to inject a bit of dynamism into the game by, instead of capturing this bishop, throwing this in. So we had already calculated this over and over again, but here you actually have the option of throwing this in and now capturing. No, sorry. Now sacrificing the rook takes and now capturing. And that way, wait, hold on. Check first, sorry. And now capturing after the king moves. I keep getting all my move orders mixed up. And now you've got the bishop pair and a rook. And this is going to be a lot more dynamic in terms of outcomes. This is kind of playing for a win. Yes, you could lose, but I mean, if you're going to lose, it's not going to matter anyway. Like, a loss is essentially the same as a draw. So I feel like this would have created a little bit more in terms of options. Even though the engine evaluates this is also equal. This isn't quite as dry. You've got the bishop pair. You can potentially get these pieces coordinated and try and get some kind of counterplay. And I guess hope. But as it stands, we don't have that. We have this endgame with both the rooks on the board. And yeah, it seems like there's really little opportunity for anything other than a draw. Oh, there's a question. Do they care about rating? Maybe. Maybe they do. Maybe Fabi doesn't want to lose rating points. That's a question. I'm curious because this is, I guess, 960 chess. Let's take a look. 960 live or classical. I guess this is classical ratings. Chess 960 and ratings. It seems to me that there's not a lot of attention that's put into 960 chess ratings. Ratings. See if I can find the top 100. Live chess ratings. They've got like Blitz and classical. I want the 960 ratings. I can't find them. So it looks here, the ratings that they give for Fabi and for Magnus are classical ratings, not their specific 960 ratings, I think. Let me just check. Maybe I'm wrong about that. 27. Live ratings. If we go to classical, yeah. Carlson's is 2031 and Fabi is 2805, which is exactly how they appear in this game. So yeah, if that's the reality, then it's even more of an incentive for Fabi to play a little bit riskier and to go for it. Because I don't think these matches can count. Not for your classical chess rating. I mean, they're not playing classical chess. They're playing classical 960. So the rating here is just a placeholder, I think. All right, do we have a move? Oh, that's weird. I thought for some reason Carlson took on a2, but he's actually just gone put the rook back on d3, which doesn't surprise me. We would much prefer to capture the e3 pawn. So now the best move for Fabi is to capture, takes, and then king to g7, rook to f5, targeting the h5 pawn, This is exactly what we've seen in the next couple of moves. And now we're waiting for Fabi to probably play rook to f5 so that he can target the h5 pawn. To f5, rook takes e3, takes rook takes g3, rook to a5, rook takes f7, takes with check. And you've got this, what we call in, what do they call it in bowling? Like a deuce on either side, and you have to try and get them in one throw. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and then this is just completely equal. It's interesting because you've got two passed pawns, but if the king is going to be able to maybe keep an eye on this one. And at some point, white is going to target this pawn and black's going to target this pawn, and after that happens, then black's going to circle back and probably coordinate with the black king and pick up the h pawn. That's what I would imagine, just looking at this position, but I could be wrong. Wow. He played rook to f4. I wonder why. That I don't get. Rook to f4. Carlsen takes on e3. Wait, what is going on here? Okay, this is what happened. Takes. And Fabi immediately played g4. Which I guess, yeah, maybe this is a slightly better option. Whoa, rook to f3? Is that the best move for Carlsen? Rook to f3, gosh. That's so strange. But now rook can capture over here. Now takes. But yeah, these 2 pawns are going to get picked off. Probably. Not much to play for. But out of the not much to play for, maybe this is the most. Huh, that's interesting. Rook to a3. H takes g4 is also okay, apparently. Or just barely. I don't think Carlsen wants to play this. This seems like an unnecessary risk. So after g4, this is also kind of a tricky move to find. Well, maybe it's not that hard. Maybe not for Carlsen. Because you are giving up another pawn. Can you even take here? How bad is just... Maybe it's terrible. Rook takes g4 check. Oh yeah, this is bad. This is very bad. Okay, so that's not an option. So Carlsen's, yeah, really considering what the best move is. There's a couple of moves, and now that the engine's had a little bit of time to think about it, there's still a little bit of an edge for white. But I think, yeah, you'd have to play like a very, very long grinding endgame, and I just don't see it against Carlsen. But considering that Fabi has to win this, I don't see him giving up anytime soon either. All right, we have a move. Okay, pawn takes, rook takes with check. Oh, actually, so this is what's happened. Now king to h8. He finds rook to f4. Huh. Rook to f4. It's like one of those moves that the engine loves and then not really. After you play it. All right, let's take a look at the players. All right, what do we have on the board? We have check. So Carlson, the black pieces, needs to decide where is he going to put his king. Play a couple of moves. The worst of those couple of moves is king to h7. King to h8 is okay. I don't know, maybe this could be like if there's only one move here that Carlson has to play, and that's king to h8. King to f6. Now h5. And h5 is tricky because maybe, yeah, things start falling apart here. So oh, thanks so much for watching Membrane Potential. I appreciate it. Glad that you enjoyed the stream. Have a good one. Sorry, I didn't say goodbye. I missed your comments. Okay, so yeah, Carlson trying to figure out where is he going to put his king. Okay, so f6, king to f6 looks a little dicey. King to h8 or king to h7. King to h7 is the worst. Rook to c5. That's why. And now you have to just move. What? Move forward. Oh yeah, this looks horrible. This looks very, very unpleasant. Rook to f5. Oh, sorry, rook to f5. This rook. Not rook to f4. To c3 check. And then king to d2. Yeah, now you can see in this position, like the rooks are a little bit more coordinated. You're threatening a bunch of things. Advanced pass pawn, the king's vulnerable. You can definitely see why Fabi would have an advantage in this position. So that's really why moving your king to h7 is not a good idea. King to h8. Out of curiosity, let's see what happens if you... Guess we have take... Oh wait, hold on. What happened? Oh, we had this. We had takes, takes. And if you play king to h8 and now the same idea... Rook takes f7. Oh, and you just block. You just block. And things fizzle this way. So that's the distinction between playing king to h7 and king to h8. King to h8 allows you to capture and block with a rook. I think Carlson's going to go through all of this stuff and just come to the conclusion that this is the best way to go. Wow. Okay, Caruana, this is so interesting. His heart rate is up to 127 and Carlson is at 73. Man, he's such a cool cucumber, that guy. He really is. He just is like relaxed. He's seen it all before. And I think that's the difference between like experience. When you've been in high stakes situations over and over and over again, it's like exposure therapy. You know, your body only reacts the same way. I always use this example, like if you're performing, if you're playing an instrument or if you're giving a performance or a speech or something in front of 1,000 people, 10 nights in a row in like a huge venue, the first night you're going to be terrified. And by the 10th night, you're going to feel completely comfortable. even if you're a nervous wreck the first night, because it's exposure therapy, your body can only react the same way so many times before it realizes that the threat that is in your mind is not actually particularly real. And you know, say what you will about Fabi, he's obviously the most experienced, one of the most experienced players ever, and one of the most experienced, or if not the most experienced US player apart from maybe Hikaru. But in comparison to Carlson, you know, Carlson has been under pressure way more than Fabi. He just has that edge when it comes to experience, and you can see that when his heart rate is at 80 and Caruana is at 124. It's just a big difference between the two players. What a big difference like 30 elo points makes. Whoa! Man, I think I might have spoken too soon. Guys, I might have spoken too soon. Carlson played king to f6. And Caruana immediately followed with h5. What? Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, hold on. I think this game is not quite done yet. Rook to f3. Rook to f3. That's the best move that you can come up with. And now captures. You can either capture this pawn or you can throw in a check on g6. Starting to get a little bit dicey here. A little bit dicey. I guess I would be more tempted to play rook to g6. Because I really want to hold on to this. I think maybe that pawn's going. What just happened? Oh, okay, we had rook to... Alright, I was going to say. Alright, we've got rook to f3 on the board. Actually, I kind of changed my mind. Maybe capturing this pawn is just fine. Alright, you're allowing this to take place. Takes. Yeah, it's difficult to convert, actually. You would almost prefer to keep pieces on the board if you could. Yeah. Rook to f3. Rook to g6 check. Maybe this is just better. King to e5. And rook to g7. Holding on. But then I feel like it gets a little... Oh, wait, hold on. What am I doing? Whoa. I was thinking you can just go back and forth, but this actually doesn't work. Let's just illustrate this. Because of the fact that you can now play h6, you don't have to go back and forth. Can no longer take because it's being defended by the pawn on h6. Now things starting to get a bit scary for black. If this were to be what we see. Unlikely, but possible. Okay. So let's get the current position set up. This is the current position. Am I not mistaken? No, I am mistaken. So we had takes with... No, it's not this. What am I doing? Oh. Pawn takes. Oh, yeah. And the thing is, Carlson played this move. We had h5 immediately, and now we have takes. Okay. So this is the position as it stands. Is that right? Yeah. All right, now, the question is, what is Carlson going to do next? Taking f7. It's the natural next move. And then you go into an endgame down a pawn, but it's not very easy for oh, that's an understatement, for Fabi to convert this. You've got this wide pass pawn, but the king is pretty close. And yeah, I don't think this is going to really lead anywhere useful. It's really interesting that he played king to f6 instead of king to h8. I was kind of expecting that. All right, Car 1 is hot is still beating very quickly. 124. Carlson's at 81. All right, let's take a look at the players. All right, let's not take a look at the players. All right, we've got a couple of moves on the board. Okay. Wow. Okay, so what looks like is we're going to see is this pawn's going to drop, and then this pawn's going to drop, and then black is probably going to just defend this wing pawn from promoting, and it's going to be a draw. If I had to guess, I would imagine that would be the outcome. I feel like I need to add some music to the next stream. That would be quite cool. Get a bit of live music going. All right. Okay, we have a check. Whoa, hold on. Hold on now. Hold on now. King to b2 or king to d2? King to d2 is apparently creating a little bit more of an edge for Fabi than we saw before. So what Carlson needed to do here is play king to rook to f5. Just targeting this pawn. h6, king to g8. Just keeping an eye on this pawn. And then rook to a6. Would have kind of kept things relatively level. That's not what happened though. Threw in a check, and Fabi immediately played king to d2. Wow. Okay. Okay, this is turning into a little bit more. And now what's really interesting is the engine gives a pretty uniform analysis. Instead of like plus 0.2, it's like plus 0.7. All right, the players are just trying to get to... Whoops. Yeah, this might fizzle still, but the engine seems to think there's a little bit more here. Okay, the white king starts to march up the board. It could be one of those situations where like the engine is perpetually stuck at a tiny advantage for whites and it doesn't actually amount to much, but we'll see. All right, we're past 40 moves, so I imagine, I could be mistaken, but I think that they start getting some additional time. Unless the plus 30 was 30-second increment, which would make things a lot more interesting instead of just 30 minutes. Because I saw 60 plus 30. I imagine that plus 30 was at 40 moves. All right, Carlson thinking. What to do, what to do, what to do. All right, I'll be back in a sec. I'm just going to grab some water. All right, we ditched the button up. We're starting to feel the literal heat a little bit. Actual feeling the heat. But right now, it's Carlson who's the one. That's a terrible segue. It's Carlson who's the one who's feeling the heat. So, waiting for Carlson to... Oh no, actually Carlson's made a move. It's Fabi who's under the gun. He has to decide what he's going to do. So, king to e3. Just preventing the rook from infiltrating and throwing in a bunch of checks. But I guess you could just check from this side if you wanted to. King to d3. Yeah. I mean, you can play a lot of sort of repetitive moves here. All right. Oh, wow. He moves up. Okay, so he goes to e4. Rook to b7. Just moving back. It just feels like I don't know how white actually makes any progress here. Like, how does white actually get this pawn promoted? Because so long as this pawn's stuck on a7, like, you can move the king forward, but, like, there's really no way. Like, okay, you play h6, and then what do you do? All the rook has to do is just stay on the 7th rank and avoid the king, and, like, it's very difficult to imagine a scenario where you make progress. Because this king doesn't need to move at all. It can just stay on h7 indefinitely. The only way that you're going to get this king off h7 is by you yourself, with the white pieces, infiltrating the 7th rank. Throwing in a check. What? What just happened? Whoa! Whoa, Carlson just blundered. Guys, Carlson just blundered. Massively. Massively. You need to play a5 here. There's a huge opportunity for Fabi if he can play a5. I don't know why. Full honesty here. I have no idea why, but we're going to find out. All right, that's crazy. Oh my gosh. Rook to b7. Rook to d6. Whoa. Okay, check. Rook to d4. Rook to b1. Rook to d5. All right, let's just jump ahead in this analysis so we can see what's going on here. By being able to get this a pawn up. All right, hold on. No, we need to actually... This is a very, very long, grinding endgame. Oh, no, he misses it. Okay, well, that saves me the hassle of having to calculate it. But apparently a5 was winning. No, Fabi! Why did you play king to d5? Oh, that's so unfortunate. All right, so apparently a5 was winning. And like not just slightly winning, like massively winning. Man, this is so complicated though. These kind of endgames. I mean, if Carlson can't find it, there's no ways that most of us would be able to calculate a5. It's such a difficult move. But anyway, rook to b7. And I think what we can do is, like, my brain's like about to explode. So I'm going to circle back and figure out exactly what's going on here and why this is so crushing for white after the fact. But yeah, anyway, let's get back to the game, because it's possible that we see another situation where things kind of swing around. But it looks like right now that opportunity might have gone. That's so crazy. Yes, I'm definitely going to live stream the World Chess Championship for sure. So you can keep an eye out for that. That'll be on Monday. And yeah, I'll probably start the stream like an hour before. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to live stream today. It was such a disaster setting it up, but it's kind of important as well to try and make sure that everything is technically okay, so I don't have this kind of disaster on Monday. Although it seems the YouTube audience is pretty forgiving. They just sit and wait patiently while I like accidentally open 40 tabs. Yeah, I actually need a third screen. That would help. The problem is screen sharing on OBS. Like, it can only screen share from an active screen that's open. Oh, maybe there are other options, but I need to do some research on that. But as a result, I end up having like way too many different tabs that I'm using on one screen, and it just complicates things. Okay, so the clock's running down now, but I'm kind of unsure of whether they've received the additional time. They might well have. Man, every time I turn over to the players, they go back to commentary. All right, we have a move. Rook to e6. Yeah, now things are mega drawish. Carlson does need to play a5 though, apparently. Ooh, a5. Maybe not the easiest move to spot. Oh, I guess if you bring the rook back, then you could throw in a check. Yeah. Then you're going to lose this pawn. What about this? To f4. Oh, man, rook to f4. Yeah, then this is definitely a draw. Just have to block. F5 check. Yeah, then it's going to be threefold. A5. Yeah, I think Carlson should be able to find a5 and realize that like this isn't a move, because you can just attack. The whole reason why Fabi played rook to e6 probably is so that he can discourage Carlson, or at least just block. Kind of curious what happens if... Oh, wait, hold on. It's black to move. If you do throw in this check, you really don't want to trade off, because this is going to be a lost endgame. That's not an option. A5. And now king to c4. Oh, king to c4, yeah. So black is threatening to jump in over here. Rook to f5 check. Yeah, you have to block. This is the problem with having the king on the 5th rank as well as this pawn. It's just going to become a target. Rook to f4, and you can just go back. Target this pawn. When you block, go back. And you just end up drawing by threefold repetition. This is like such a frustration with chess as well. It's like everything looks like a draw. Almost all of the moves are a draw, and then there's just one small detail that you miss. That means that it's not a draw. And it's so difficult to find why. Like, I still don't know why a5 wins for white. I mean, we'll figure it out later, but... Okay, whoa. a5 is now, again, an opportunity for Fabi. Oh, come on, Fabi. Please play a5. The problem is for the same reasons that we saw before, a5. But now, rook to f5. This doesn't fall into the same category as we saw in the previous position, because now rook to f4 doesn't threaten anything. The pawn's no longer there. And now you can kind of start working on maybe moving back, picking off this pawn and promoting. Oh, dude, please, come on, Fabi. You gotta find a5. Has he found it? Yes, he has. Yes, he has. That is an outstanding move.
Most impressive.
Very good, Fabi. Love it. You love to see it. You simply love to see it. All right, we've got to check. Fabi blocks. And this is what we were discussing a moment ago. This is the detail. Having a4, the pawn on a4, so that you could threaten something and get into this kind of repetitive position. That's what Carlsen wants, because he wants a draw. Now, however, things have changed. All right, rook to g5 is winning. Rook to e6 is winning. Everything else is slightly better. Sheesh, this is really starting to cook now. We're really in business now. Fascinating stuff. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, now my question is, like, I want to see the clock. I want to see the actual clock. Like, the clock on the left-hand side says there's 2 minutes on the clock, but I don't think this is updated at all. So what is the goal here? The goal is to try and pick off the a7 pawn and promote. Magnus maybe wanting to play rook to a6, I guess. But now you... Okay, so that's why. All right, say you play rook to g5. And Carlsen plays this. Then you just move, I guess? Yeah. Just move out of the way. And now the rook's still guarding. What? Kind of... I'm a little bit confused of what Carlsen was thinking here. Maybe he just still thinks that everything is kind of holding together. Yeah, these endgames are so difficult. They really, really are. But it's very clear. I mean, even if you gave this position to like an absolute beginner, they'd say, okay, well, white has an advantage, definitely, because they're up a pawn. And the pawn on the h-file is a pass pawn. Okay. No! Fabi. Oh my god. Oh man. I can't blame him. There's no ways I would have found either of those moves. So, alright, we have a check. The one thing that you can say about this check is that it is really removing the king from the game. The question is, can you take here? Probably not. Yeah, the engine doesn't love taking. Because it's good. Basically, this pawn is going to be very difficult to try and get anywhere near promoting. So what's the idea? What are you supposed to do here? King to e4. Okay. No, apparently not king to e5, king to e4. And now rook to a6. Then you move back rook to e5. This is going to be a real grind. But it's definitely clear that Fabi has something to play for. We might be here for a while. Oh my gosh. Oh, did he take? No, he didn't. We're still waiting to see what he's going to do. Rook to e6. Okay, but rook to e6, rook to f5, rook to e5, rook to f6. This is a little bit repetitive. f5. I don't know why it keeps suggesting this move. King to e4 now. King to e4. So this is the final position that the king needs to end up on. Rook is keeping an eye on both of these pawns. c6. Rook to e6. Oh, he's taking the pawn. Oh my gosh. I probably would have done that too. Check. Ah, Fabi, no. Yeah. I really don't blame him. Mostly because I myself don't entirely understand the reason why some of these moves, the engine loves some of these moves over it. The problem is that it's like the kind of raw calculation that the engine has in terms of being able to, especially with few pieces in the board, calculate deeply into the future, like you know, 20, 25, 30 moves where you're gradually maneuvering around in order to widen the advantage. They're extremely difficult for human beings to grasp. It's that simple. They're just not easy. Yeah, I agree. I think this is turning into a pretty likely draw. Okay, so all right, what's going on? All right, now the advantage just basically completely disappeared. Yeah, the clock's running the whole way down, so I'm expecting that it'll... Oh, okay, so there's a 30-second increment. Is that it? Must be. Or a 20-second, 25-second. No, it must be a 30-second increment. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting stuff. Okay, we have rook to c6. Man, the amount of times that they're just spending so much time on... Okay, let's try now. There we go. On analysis. I'd love to see the heart rates now. I wonder what they are. They must be going through the roof. Through the roof. Yeah, and now it's just going to be a lot of shuffling around. The problem is like, it's unlikely that Fabi's just going to accept a draw. He's going to keep going until something happens where he's kind of like forced into a corner. King to e5. when you start looking at the engine moves and like the top 3, top 4 engine suggestions are all just like zeros, you know that, you know, like barring complete brain farts, this is just going to end in a draw. All right. Do you think Ukesh has a better chance at winning the championship? Yes, definitely. I would definitely say so. If I had to guess. Just want to get this centered slightly better. Let's just sort that out. That looks much better. Yeah, I mean, I think the bookmakers have Gukesh at winning too. Yeah, a lot of shuffling, not a whole lot of progress being made by either player. King to E5. Rook to C6. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay of the footage. So we're watching the players make the moves after we see it on the board. I think the problem is like Carlsen has played these types of end games like a dozen times. He knows exactly what he's doing. I mean, he did blunder earlier, but it was like a blunder that not many humans could take advantage of. I mean, I had the engine open and I still don't know entirely why A5 is like plus 2.5. People just see them, they're like, oh, like you should know, but really it just illustrates how difficult chess is as a game. Like there's so much that you need to understand in depth. And when you're playing these types of end games, you know, up a pawn, both players have a rook. The amount of work that you need to do to realize that advantage is just eye-watering. Okay, a couple of checks. Yeah, so we're here watching the conclusion if you're just joining of this game. It is very much equal. There was a serious opportunity for Fabi to move in for the kill, but it ended up being an extremely complicated, long line that you had to play very accurately, I imagine. I didn't spend too much time looking at it, but yeah, now it's the cruelest of endgames where you're up 2 pawns with the white pieces, but there's not much of an advantage to be had. It's really just a draw if black plays correctly. And considering that you're up against the greatest endgame player of all time, it's not super likely that you're going to be able to convert this. I wonder this is the kind of thing. A7 sacrifice promotes. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess. How do you defend that out of curiosity? So you can play king to d8. Just say for argument's sake, you play this. Now, oh, rook to a6, of course. Rook to a6. That's pretty obvious. I don't know why I didn't see that. Now, this no longer works because when you promote, you just capture. Okay, so the board's moved. Let's just fix this. Want to see Fabi's beautiful face. All right, there we go. Cool. Okay, back to the game. What's going on here? All right, so we have Carlson played rook to c6. Fabi played king to d7, attacking the rook. Rook needs to find another home. Oh, is it white to move now? Oh, sorry, I was just a move behind. Okay, Caruana plays rook to a7. King just moves back. And I don't really know what the threat is here. Maybe it's just moving your king forward. If you do this, for example, doesn't really matter. Yeah. That's the problem, is just like basically all of the moves are more or less the same. I mean, yeah, obviously Carlson needs to still play accurately, but it's just very difficult to kind of capitalize on this advantage. On the material advantage. Oh my gosh, they keep changing. They keep changing where they're putting the camera. That's why slightly offset each time. Yeah, so for the World Chess Championship, FIDE are much more kind of like regular in terms of how they set up their cameras, etc. That's weird. What happened to my OBS? Oh, there it is. Okay, we have another move. Couple of moves. King moves to f7. Yeah, what's quite nice now is the fact that it is basically both players playing on increment. So yeah, you can play on increment, I guess, indefinitely, but you know, at least they're not going to be spending 20, 30 minutes on a move. The action is pretty fast paced, which it needs to be, considering that this is like the last stages of this game, and it doesn't look necessarily like either player is making progress. Well, Carlson's making great progress. He's making sure that Fabi doesn't make progress, so that's a kind of progress of its own. Wow, okay, so the king comes up. Interesting. King comes all the way to e8. Now, what is the plan for white? It's difficult because whenever you move h6, you can just capture it. I guess there's the benefit of staying on the 7th rank because of the fact that black can never infiltrate the 7th rank. Well, I guess he can if he comes this way, but yeah, really tricky. Super, super tricky. I think what I'll do is I'll just make this a little bit smaller. That's probably a better idea. Let's do this. You just put that in the middle and then just get rid of the frame. Don't need the live frame. That's better. Okay, have a move. Rook to d6 from Carlson. Fabi throws in a... Oh, I was going to say he throws in a check. It's kind of like an X-ray check. Not quite a check yet. King moves. King moves. It's not a draw. Caruana is winning. Is that right? Are the engines completely wrong? It could be. It's just difficult to know, like, how exactly. It's just difficult to see progress. I mean, the engines say that it's completely drawn for Caruana and for Carlson. Yeah, the problem is that basically whenever this pawn hits h6, it's going to get captured. If this pawn goes to a7, you have rook to a6, so that you can't sacrifice and promote. I just don't see how anything's going to happen here. I mean, I understand Fabi's frustration. He's done all this hard work. He's up 2 pawns, but Carlson, being Carlson, is calculated extremely well. He really is a beast. That even when he blunders, they're like impossible to find in terms of like how to punish him for those blunders. The only entity that's going to punish Carlson for the type of blunders that he makes is Stockfish. If you're a human being, you're just not going to see it. I can guarantee you, like, any of those guys in the commentary booth, anywhere, they're going to see the engine move and just not know why. And the reason for that is because if Fabi can't find the winning move, no one else is. He's 2,800. Like, even if you're a super GM, you're not going to be like, oh, I can play a5 and then grind out like a 20 move sequence to be able to create this huge advantage. It's like, I mean, I'm certainly nowhere near those guys' ratings. And yeah, I'm definitely... I mean, it goes without saying, I would never find something like that. But it's a frustration because it's like, it means that Carlson, he is human. Like, he does make mistakes, but it's just very difficult to capitalize on them when he does. All right, we've got a couple of moves on the board. Okay, so now this pawn has come to h6. So now you just take it? I mean, what's wrong with just capturing? Yeah, it's fine. And then when you play a6, just come here. I guess maybe like, can you? Yeah, no. I don't think it works. Can you play this here? Rook to a6 and then move the king across. Rook to a1. Oh, okay. And then it's just, you're just going to repeat. You're just going to throw in a check. Back. Check. Move back. And it's just going to be threefold. And the reason is that as soon as the king comes in, you are now threatening. Well, I guess, no, you're not. This isn't even a real threat because after takes, you just capture and it's just a draw anyway. Yeah, it's just not really going anywhere. They're still playing though, clearly. Wow, I've been live streaming for 2 hours and 49 minutes. That's pretty decent. Got some orange essence here. I wish I could broadcast this on the stream. So good. Just basically smells like fresh oranges. It's incredible. No, it's not zooming in. There we go. So nice. For some reason, peppermint is much more expensive. Oh my gosh, that is so good. That's incredible. So what did you do today? I watched this chess streamer sniffing peppermint essence. All right, anything exciting happening? Doesn't seem so. Rook to a7. What does that do? Just move away, probably. Rook to king to h8. Rook to a8. Maybe now? Check. Oh, this is a disaster. Okay, so you don't want to do that. I have to stay on the 6th rank so that you can keep an eye. Out of curiosity, if you play here, what happens? King to b8. Rook to h6 if you go back. King to b7. Check. Oh, you're able to kind of shuffle the rook out of the way and then play a7 and promote. Okay. Interesting. Okay, rook to f6. Check. King to g7. And yeah, it's the same problem. This is like you play a6, rook to a6. You're never going to be able to promote this pawn. So long as this rook is on the 6th rank, it's going to be able to just hop behind and you're not going to be able to... well, hold on. Here's something. What happens if I go here now? Okay, rook to f7 actually is to b6. Okay, now you can just check forever, basically. a5, check. All right, hold on. Things are happening. Okay. Guys, that's a wrap. We have... The end is nigh, if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty cool. They're going to play all the way to the end. Shake hands. Carlson will get a little bit bigger camera angle. Wow. Yeah, it was a really interesting game. It really was, especially when Caruana played rook to c1. It seriously added a lot more drama to the game with that incredible knight move. That was a really beautiful line, it has to be said, and especially impressive that he found it. I think my only disappointment is that he decided to go for the end game that he did and not for something a little bit riskier, which might have yielded more of a reward. But I guess we'll never know. And yeah, really impressive play from both players. Give credit where credit's due. And I think if we can learn one lesson, one lesson from this game is don't try to play a chess game on a boat because you're going to have technical difficulties. There we have it. All right. that is going to be a wrap from me. I think I'll wrap things up. Thanks for watching. It was nearly 3-hour stream. A good little test run before the World Championship on Monday. If you are watching, do consider... Daniel Victor, thank you for your shout out from Brazil. I appreciate your comments. I will be live streaming on Monday and looking forward to hanging out with you guys. We're going to have a lot of fun. And yeah, wherever you are in the world, if you're from Brazil or from India or from Norway, thanks for watching. From South Africa, I should say. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good one. Bye, everyone.